What if the Terminator was sent to assassinate Anakin Skywalker? Let's explore the depths of this scenario in the video. The twin suns of Tatooine blaze overhead as a pair of podracers zoom through the desert dunes. Anakin Skywalker is neck and neck against the reigning champion, Sebulba. As the two near the finish line, Anakin's cobbled-together podracer begins to sputter and lose power. The control panel flickers wildly, and warning lights flash as something terrible is happening. He frantically looks over the controls and then towards the engines. He sees a fuel line has been loosened and now leaks the precious substance from his podracer. Standing in his seat, Anakin begins to reroute power and tries to reconnect the fuel line. He watches as stray fuel splashes over one of the engines, catching fire. The young racer ignores the heat as he tries desperately to reach for the fuel line, and without realizing it, he channels the Force and pulls the hose into his hand, allowing him to reconnect it. Just in time, too, as it gives him the burst of speed to win the race. Shmi Skywalker rushes forward and embraces her son, while his friends laugh and cheer him on. Amidst the celebration, Qui-Gon Jinn smiles, but notices someone making his way through the crowds. It's a tall, imposing figure, slowly approaching them, his cold eyes focusing on Anakin. The Jedi Master tries to act as casual as possible and leans over to Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan, why don't you take our young friend back home so he can start packing?
Obi-Wan looks at his master in confusion, but catches his eyes and nods. He takes the boy by the hand and leads him away. As the two leave, the figure follows, and Qui-Gon trails behind. He cuts the figure off near an alley.
I take it you're not the one who sabotaged my friend's podracer.
Without a word, the Terminator lunges, its arm morphing into a blade. Qui-Gon raises his lightsaber just in time to parry the attack. He grabs the attacker by his arm and drags him into the alley where they won't be seen. However, the Terminator's strength is immense, and he begins to push Qui-Gon back. Seeing how he can't hold him back, the Jedi drops down and lets the blade pass through him. He follows and drives his lightsaber into the Terminator's chest. It should pierce his heart, but its liquid metal construct begins to close the wound. Qui-Gon can only watch in shock before the TX-1000 backhands him across the alley. Taking a deep breath, Qui-Gon rises to his feet and rushes at him, hoping to use superior speed and agility. He scores a dozen hits against the slower Terminator, but none of these wounds slow him down, and all begin to regenerate.
You're no ordinary droid.
I'm no droid. Suddenly, a flash of blue light intervenes as a lightsaber severs the Terminator's arm and drops Qui-Gon. A hooded figure steps in between them and turns back to Qui-Gon.
Come with me if you want to live.
Qui-Gon sees the new arrival and then turns to see the Terminator regenerating his limb. He gets to his feet, hurries after his savior, and rushes out of the alley. They head down one of the more crowded streets that lead back to the Skywalker residence, allowing them to lose the Terminator. As they run, the new arrival's hood falls back, and Qui-Gon's eyes widen at the sight. Although he's closer to his age now and grew a beard, he recognizes the face of his apprentice.
Obi-Wan?
Master, it's good to see you again.
What is that thing?
A killing machine from the future. He's been sent here to take young Skywalker. There is much to explain, but we must get the boy out of here first.
They return to find the rest of their group waiting for them. Anakin was finishing packing and saying his goodbyes. Qui-Gon introduces future Obi-Wan as one of his contacts on Tatooine and tells Anakin to follow him as they prepare to leave. As Anakin hurriedly gathers his belongings, Qui-Gon and future Obi-Wan stand by the door, keeping watch. Qui-Gon senses the turmoil in his old apprentice's eyes.
We'll need to talk soon.
I know, Master.
With Anakin ready, they hurry back to the desert where their ship is waiting. Just as they approach the ship, someone else appears on the horizon, approaching on a speeder bike. The boy drops to the ground just as the Night Brother appears and ignites his lightsaber. Their lightsabers crash in a burst of sparks as Obi-Wan holds the Sith Lord back and then tries to slash at him. Maul raises his lightsaber and advances on him, whirling the blade and kicking up sand towards the Jedi Master. But as they lock blades, a third figure leaps between them, sending them both stumbling to the ground.
Target acquired. Get out of my way.
The Terminator lunges, forcing Qui-Gon and Darth Maul to defend. The Knight Brother snarls and nearly severs the Terminator in half. But before he can pull his lightsaber back, the machine grabs him by the throat and begins to squeeze. Qui-Gon takes this chance to shove them back with the Force and leaps onto the ship as it flies past him. The Terminator shoves Maul aside and leaps onto the landing platform. But future Obi-Wan and present Obi-Wan both appear and drive their lightsabers into his chest, sending it tumbling to the ground. Once the hatch closes, both turn to the future visitor expectantly. Inside the ship, the tension remained thick. The three Jedi gathered in a meeting room, having sent Anakin and the others to rest so they may speak alone.
What's going on, Obi-Wan?
In the future, Anakin becomes a Sith Lord and destroys the Jedi Order. However, his master created something called Project Terminator, a contingency in the event that Anakin turns against him and manages to kill him. They would travel back in time and kill him before the Jedi could find him, to prevent this future.
Qui-Gon's face pales as he absorbs this information.
How can this child be responsible for such evil?
Future Obi-Wan places a hand on Qui-Gon's shoulder.
I saw it myself. It was one of the most painful sights I've ever witnessed. But we must protect him. Get him into the Jedi and train him. He will bring balance to the Force. With all due respect, how can we still protect him knowing this? How do we justify it?
My apprentice is right. This is something that I want no part in.
It is part of the Jedi way to defend all innocence, regardless of what the future holds. He didn't do anything to you now, and he's just a boy. Based on what you told us, he doesn't seem so innocent anymore, knowing what he's capable of becoming. We could send him back to Tatooine and leave him there. That way he won't have a chance to do what you claim. Playing with time is a dangerous idea, especially when you suggest condemning Anakin to a life of slavery. The Force guided us to him for a reason.
I understand that. It's hard to look at him the same way, knowing what he could become.
You don't need to tell me twice.
The trip to Coruscant is thankfully uneventful. With future Obi-Wan's urgings, Qui-Gon petitions the Council to accept Anakin into the Jedi Order, but they remain reluctant even when the Jedi Master vows to take the boy under his tutelage, with or without them. In some ways, this is a relief, as he hopes to take Anakin far away from the Jedi Temple and politics. There he hopes to raise him in secret, to prevent him from dealing with his destiny. As a part of him feels bad for the boy, to have such a destiny thrust upon him at such a young age. He can almost understand why he'd end up that way. But at the same time, after learning what he does, he can barely even look at Anakin. Thankfully, they do not have to stay there long, as Padme gets approval from the Senate to intervene on Naboo. Now Qui-Gon, Anakin, and Obi-Wan can return and free the planet. The future Obi-Wan also goes with them, not wanting to leave anything to chance until the Terminator is dealt with. However, the night before they are set to depart, Qui-Gon receives a mysterious dream from the Sith Lord who attacked him.
Quite the dilemma you find yourself in, Master Jedi. I don't know what you're talking about, Sith Lord. Now release me from this dream. Come now. I placed a probe droid on your ship. I know everything. And you know that I want no business with any of this. Perhaps. But it's your business now whether you like it or not. Unless we are to agree. Agree on what? I don't deal with those who I know nothing about. I'm the person who's about to solve all your problems. I offer a solution that will keep both the blood of this child and the innocence off your hands. And that is, allow me to take the child. I shall keep him safe, and you shall keep your conscience clear. I knew you were mad to serve the dark side, but I didn't know you were insane. What makes you think I'll just hand over the Chosen One to the dark side? Have you not heard? Your order will fall regardless of what you do. I know things that you don't. I know whose plan this is, and what the Jedi says is true. It is in my best interests to prevent this plan from coming to fruition.
I suppose I cannot convince you to give that information willingly.
Unfortunately not. But I shall let you think it over and discuss this further on Naboo.
With that cryptic warning, the dream fades and Qui-Gon jolts awake. Unfortunately, it's now morning and he must prepare to depart. The Jedi will act as an escort for Padme while they guide her through the war-torn Theed. Thanks to the actions of the local resistance, they manage to enter the palace undetected. As they begin to secure the palace, they head to the hangar and clear it for the pilots to take off. But one droid remains and begins to transform back into the Terminator.
Get ready!
The Jedi ignite their lightsabers, the familiar hum filling the air as they prepare to face the deadly machine. The Terminator lunges at them with inhuman speed, its arm morphing into a blade while it fires its blaster with the other. Qui-Gon parries the first strike while the two Obi-Wans flank the machine, attacking from either side. They manage to slash its blaster apart, but the Terminator moves with deadly precision and shoves them back, whirling and drawing a second blade. Despite their coordinated efforts, the Terminator proves it is as fast as them, its blades a part of him, and parries their attack with effortless grace, while its body regenerates any injuries. While it remains fresh, the Jedi begin to tire as the battle drags on. Their attacks slow and they just barely stay alive.
We can't keep this up. It's too strong.
The Terminator sprints around, turning its body into a whirlwind of death as the Jedi are on the defensive and are nearly overwhelmed. Just as it seems like it will overwhelm them, the doors open, and Darth Maul leaps into the fray. His sudden arrival and vicious attack momentarily overwhelm the Terminator, pushing it on the defensive as he slashes him across the chest. The combined efforts of the Jedi and Maul turn the tide. Maul's aggressive style complements the Jedi's defense, and they begin to push the Terminator back, opening wounds as quickly as it regenerates them. With a coordinated strike, all four plunge their lightsabers into its chest, overwhelming the Terminator's sensors, and soon it begins to move erratically. The attack's slow, and it gives them a chance to finally slay it. Using the Force, they shove the Terminator into the cockpit of a starfighter. Maul, with a twisted grin, smashes the control panel, activating the starfighter's self-destruct sequence. The Jedi and Maul leap back as the starfighter begins to spark and hum ominously. The self-destruct sequence reaches its countdown, and with a blinding flash, the starfighter explodes, taking the Terminator with it. Maul then turns to Qui-Gon and smiles.
I did not have to help you, Jedi. My aid has a price. Have we reached an agreement? Give me the boy.
Qui-Gon's face hardens, glancing at Anakin, who is hiding in the cockpit of a nearby starfighter, fear evident in his eyes.
What do you want with him? That is not your concern. Hand him over, and you may leave with your lives.
You can't be seriously considering this. He's right. You would trust a Sith Lord.
Qui-Gon looks at the terrified boy. The thoughts of what he'll do run through his head. For a moment, he seriously considers handing him over. But then those memories feel far away, as all he sees now is a frightened little boy.
No, Maul. I will not give you Anakin.
Maul's eyes narrow, and he ignites his double-bladed lightsaber.
So be it.
Maul lunges at Qui-Gon with blinding speed. He blocks his attack and glares up at him, just as his two apprentices go on the offense. Maul breaks off his attack and slashes his lightsaber back and forth to defend their blows. With some breathing room, Qui-Gon stabs his lightsaber forward and forces Maul back. Seeing three Jedi around him, he snarls and begins drawing on the dark side, feeling it fuel him and give him strength. With inhuman speed, he bursts into action, his lightsaber briefly turning into an arc of energy and death. The three Jedi find themselves being placed on the defensive, They begin to give ground as Maul lets out a nearly demonic shriek as he leaps up and whirls at them, sending Qui-Gon stumbling back while future Obi-Wan forces to defend him.
Master, fall back!
Present Obi-Wan helps Qui-Gon to his feet, and the two struggle to keep up with Maul's relentless attacks. Meanwhile, the future Obi-Wan engages from the side, trying to divert Maul's focus. Maul turns and defends against this attack, sending future Obi-Wan stumbling against the hull towards the reactor. The Night Brother intensifies his attacks, forcing them to split up. He grabs the future Obi-Wan and throws him towards his present counterpart. This leaves only Qui-Gon to face Maul alone.
This is your end, Jedi.
He begins to charge at him, leaping from the wall and attacking from above, forcing Qui-Gon to defend. He blocks each attack and waits for an opening. As Maul raises his lightsaber to attack, the Jedi Master takes this as an opportunity to strike, aiming to thrust his lightsaber, but it's a feint, and Maul's lightsaber slashes him across the stomach. His eyes widen, and the lightsaber drops to the ground. Both present and future Obi-Wan scream out as they see their master fall. Fueled by both anger and sorrow, they charge at Maul, who smiles and readies himself. As he leaps up and slashes down, the two move in opposite directions. Maul tries spinning to defend against their attacks, but the two are fueled by desperation and anger. Their attacks grow stronger and fiercer, and puts Maul on the back foot. He tries to repeat his strategy and rushes at future Obi-Wan. However, this proves to be more difficult as Obi-Wan blocks each attack far easier. Maul grits his teeth as he tries to press the older Jedi, but something seems wrong. It's as if he's fought him before. This allows present Obi-Wan to leap up and strike at Maul from the side, smacking the lightsaber from his grip. The Sith Lord gasps and tries to punch the younger Kenobi, but he's faster and slashes his lightsaber across Maul's wrist. The Night Brother can only gasp as he looks down and falls over the edge. Obi-Wan rushes to Qui-Gon's side, cradling his fallen master. As his master passes away in his arms, present Obi-Wan pulls him close. He looks at future Obi-Wan, tears streaming down his face.
Is it over? Please, tell me it's over.
Future Obi-Wan closes his eyes, watching as a dozen memories run through his head, both pleasant and unpleasant. He thinks of all the acts of violence Anakin's committed, the wrongs he's wrought on the galaxy, but also the friendship they share and the adventures they've been through over the years. But then he thinks of Luke.
No, this is just the beginning. The road you must walk is long and difficult. You will suffer many hardships, but there is hope in the end. I've seen it for myself, held it in my hands. There is always hope.
That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.